Cutie pie, we have seen an enormous crypto liquidation, disaster, turmoil everywhere. Today, I'm going to go through some prices. I'm going to show you something interesting that's happened before. I've made a clip here, but I'm going to show it to you live in real time. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this Bitcoin chart. You see now, this is what everybody's looking at in the crypto market. Everybody's drawn this trend line, and they've seen that the trend line has snapped. This is today. And if you notice as well, if we go down here, this is the RSI, just a little cute default indicator. It's very, very low. And this is on a daily time frame, okay? What I wanted to do is I want to go back in time and see, did something similar like that happen before? You know what most people do? Most people will go back to 2019. I don't like using 2019 because you see this big rally. We did not experience such a big rally. If we experienced this big rally, I'm going to show you right now, Bitcoin would have went all the way up to about $45,000. So if Bitcoin was up here, then we would have been paying for our sins for the next year, pretty much. But we didn't. We didn't go to this $45,000, this big fat level. It's just everybody's just been screwing around here. Was there a period of time when that happened? Yes, there actually was, friends. It was back in the Mt. Gox Ponzi Cycle. I always speak about the Mt. Gox Ponzi Cycle. And I want to show you this. This is something cool. Now, this is this big spike up, Bitcoin between $500 to $800. This is the Bitcoin halvening. So we are not near there yet. That's April 2024. What I decided to do was show you Bitcoin ran up, escaped out of the bear market, and then it actually started forming this trend line. This was back then. Very interesting. And look, if we go to the far right, focus your eyes on the far right. Look, snap. Bitcoin actually breaks the trend line. Everybody gets out and everybody thinks it's over. And funnily enough, the RSI goes very cheap as well. And then we just go sideways. It's actually sideways. No one knows what to do. Sideways, boring, right? And I know it looks boring on the chart, but when you're living it, up here would be scary, right? Up when you go up here, it's scary as well. Everybody thinks it's over. It's completely over. But this is very interesting to see. That's what happened. We had this little grind up and a trend broke. And maybe we are repeating the fractal of the Mt. Gox Ponzi. Now, of course, nothing's guaranteed. The prices can always go negative. So what actually happened? Well, we've got more information now. You can see a lot of, it's just leverage. Every single time these moves happen, friend, there's leverage, there's insiders attacking the spot market to hunt them out. People get hunted, scamming, everything happens, you name it. All right. So basically, Bitcoin and Ethereum, the dump had hurt this giant options seller. So for some reason, this dude sold a lot of put options. So basically, he collected premium. He collected like his plus $1, and he was betting that the market would not go down. So he needed the market go up. If the market went up, he keeps his $1. But now that the market went down, he basically loses like $50, right? That's how the game works, okay? You're basically picking up pennies in front of a freight train. So he sold puts, and he got murdered as it went down. And this is the picture. You can see it's a lot of spiky spikes down. This person got absolutely obliterated. Like, this is death and destruction. They're gonna. You hear some metaphors of people saying that the bodies are gonna float to the top of the pool later on. And what I have here is the Bybit chart. The biggest liquidation actually happened on Bybit because that is like basically retail essential. Everybody's on there to do leverage and gambling, and you can see that the bottom chart is the open interest. You can see how it just crashed itself down. This open interest means a lot of people's positions are being force exited. So you can tell, it makes sense. A lot of people were trying to just be long because they heard of the Bitcoin BlackRock ETF. It was being put everywhere. What they don't know is it doesn't move that fast. I just showed you in the past what happens and how slow it can take. And I have this cute little video here just to show you, friends. Yes, hodling ain't easy, friends. It is. It really does feel super, super scary. That's what it feels like. Every time we see these little red candles that come here, we think, okay, there's absolutely no bottom at all. And it feels like this. You're just hanging on the edge of a cliff. And you're just waiting and waiting. And there is a harness there, but you don't believe that the harness is going to work. And the harness is like you're looking at hundreds of millions of people in the Bitcoin network and all the networks around you. And you're like, oh, please. But it is what it is. And of course, shout out to Mr. Shillem Defoe. I love this picture. Of course, Mr. Shillem Defoe, this picture is unrealistic because somebody with nuts this big could never make it up a mountain. And also down here, friends, I've got a comment here. So Mr. Moe's asked, hey, bud, can you please make a hype video around the hype around pDAI and what's happening? Look, with pDAI, of course, when it comes to these coins, you just never know, friends. There's somebody got in early. You never have the full information. Mr. Dipcatcher just found out that there's an admin key. They can mint coins. Now, I don't know if they're going to mint anything. It is what it is. How much do you want to place on it now? Now, I've noticed, this is a daily candle. This daily candle is plus 400%. That is classical euphoria. I'm actually seeing in Telegrams, people are saying, wow, I can't believe I'm in. Let's cheer this onto $1. But what's interesting with the pDAI is it fulfills everything, all of my lessons. Please like, subscribe, bell button, all friends. Thank you very much. It fulfills all the lessons I teach you about how high a market can go, because what happens is people are dreaming about $1. Now, $1 is so far away, nobody's thinking that this is the end. No one. When you come to euphoria, and you just don't know where it's going to stop. You don't know where it's going to stop. When it comes to Bitcoin, no, the average market participant is not dreaming of $1 million. If the average market participant, and I mean the collective mindset, really believed in $1 million, then Bitcoin would probably go to like, 200, 300K, and it could stop there. But the average participant's only thinking about $100,000 in Bitcoin, $120,000. So now you can see you need the target to be so extravagantly high to trap everybody in. That's why it's really hard, because you know it's never going to get there. But I mean, that sometimes people just say, hey, just throw a lottery in there. But at the end of the day, a lot of these things, they don't turn out how you think, because people keep piling on. They think as these things start moving that now the thesis is getting more and more correct. But as you find out, I mean, there are people who bought the tippy top of the candle. I mean, they've witnessed a 68% literally daily candle that's just wicked down with volatility. So it is what it is, friends. Not much you can do when it comes to these, because a lot of them, they do appear random, but it's not random for insiders to get in early every single time. So if you believe you're early and you can see a big wave coming, like a lot of people are going to shill it and stuff, well, now you have some sort of competitive edge, because you know that, hey, the network effect's probably going to get shilled out there and everybody's pushing for it, and the target's pretty big. But if you don't have that and you don't have any eyesight, all you can do is look at the code and look at all this minting and weird stuff going on and say, hey, can you confirm yourself whether you know everything's going on or not, or do you just go off guesses? And at the end of the day, only you can make that decision for yourself. Also, I put this breaking news. So Donald Trump, he got asked about what he would do if he got reappointed, and he says he would not reappoint US Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. So what I've noticed is this dude, he's really good at reading the crowd. So he knows everybody is like really pissed off with US Fed, because they inflate this Ponzi bubble, and now they've done these epically huge interest rate and they've crushed everything, and everybody wants the fun. And is it the right way to do things? We'll never know, friends. They're in control, not us. But it is interesting that they're getting more political when it comes to these situations. It's even funny as well. So Jesse says, important language. Trump even said in this interview, remember, he dropped so much at one time. So Donald Trump just criticizes him. He says, basically, you put the rates up too much and then you put them down too much. And he says the guy's always too late. So it's just interesting to see what happens from here. Also fascinating, from this big capitulation move, right, here I am just telling you, there are influencers. They've been saying that Bitcoin dominance is going up, okay, because they really believe. See, friends, I went and showed you the 2015 and 2016 fractal. No one's looking at that. Everybody is looking at 2018 to 2019. That's what most people are doing, okay? Most people are focusing on this part. So what they're doing is they're looking at what Bitcoin dominance did during that time period. They're looking at everything that was observed during that time period, which is Bitcoin goes on a monster rally and everything else just dies forever and ever. And that's the fractal they're looking at. And this is how we can identify that, hey, it's probably going to be advantageous if you are taking the opposite side of the painful path that these people think that they think they're taking. They think they're being righteous by saying, well, the fractal is going to repeat from the last cycle. But we've actually found these, okay? So, for example, Ethereum drops 20% in like 5 minutes. Okay, all the altcoins capitulate. It's the largest liquidation event since FTX. And then Bitcoin dominance, which is Bitcoin strength relative to the rest of the market, it's still around 49%, 49.5%. Like, you would think after such a move, we would be up to 60 to 70% now. So it's really the market telling you that Ethereum's much stronger than everybody thinks. And because it's much stronger than everybody thinks, we are doing different behaviors than the exact last cycle. Ethereum is now stronger. Ethereum is not a little poo-poo anymore. Ethereum is like linked with Bitcoin, and you might be surprised. Maybe altcoins start to run much earlier than everybody thinks. Traditionally, altcoins will run when Bitcoin breaks its all-time high. That's traditionally. Altcoins start to do its big run. But hey, we might find it happens earlier now. You can feel the crowd, friends. People are not coming in wanting to buy Bitcoin. Everyone believes in $100,000. Retail needs to believe in literally a $3 million Bitcoin for them to buy, because they've still got to buy 100K. They've got to buy up to 200K because they believe in 3 million, but they don't believe in $2 or $3 million Bitcoin. They don't even believe in $1 million Bitcoin. They barely believe in $100,000. They barely believe in that. So it's going to be hard for you to get them to start FOMO buying Bitcoin out here. And they can't even push it up. And of course, as we watch the portfolios and the markets crumble, friends, the market says to us that we're all going to lose our money. We have a response for them. Don't worry.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
What are we going to do, man? It's been here thousands of times before. Okay, we go to zero, it's over. We don't go to zero, it's the same game, friends. We're waiting. They're ticking down the calendar days. And also, I went and did some homework for you on that RSI, just on a daily chart, because I saw somebody else on Twitter posted it. So I went and did the research myself. I checked out the past 5 years. So basically, on average, Bitcoin will pop up about 40%. That was the average. Pop up 40% from that. And if you do 40% from the low, we get around $35,000 to $37,000, which is the highest volume node, which is where most of the volume actually is for the market. So when we get here, when we get to claim $37,000, unfortunately, there's going to be rinsing again because everyone's break even there on average, friends. All these institutions, they waited so long. There's no way they're holding. They're going to be getting out. There's going to be people taking minus 10, 20, and 30% losses. And altcoins, people are going to be happy to take just half their money back, right? Maybe when this happens, even if the altcoins get up that far, we don't know how altcoins are going to perform around that area. But these areas are magnets. That's why when we get to that highest volume node, there's still going to be another grind session. It is what it is. We're plotting a long time. And this is a visual chart just to show you that we did have the biggest liquidation event since the FTX collapse. So basically in a year. Now, the amount of coins wiped out was enormous, huge leverage. You can see the red volume spike down here and FTX was down there. So it's kind of funny. You look at it, you're like, what news came out? And like they had to bombard you with everything. They said Elon Musk sold and Evergrande default and everything's bad. And okay, it gave you just big wipeouts. But it really does remind me of that example I showed you at the beginning of this video. You go back to 2016, that 2015 area, there was just big trend and we just broke it. That's it. There was just a big trend. Everybody was punting on the trend continuing, which is what we have right now. Everyone believed this trend's continuing and no, we didn't. We just popped down. So it does remind me of those past. And I wonder if back then there wasn't some new, huge gargantuan type of news, some huge bad colossal news as well. So look, friends, at the end of the day, we have to think about liquidity. Liquidity matters a lot because liquidity, it's just a function of the size of your network. If you've got an enormous network, yeah, it's safe for the fund who owns $40 million of Bitcoin and they want to sell on a 2x. It's good for them. But for everybody else who's seeking more risk and who wants higher growth, you're not going to get it anywhere close. Probably not even this decade, friends. But it feels like, look, if Cathie Wood's target for Bitcoin's 1.5 million by the end of this decade, maybe just divide it by 5. Maybe it's only 300,000 in literally by the end of 2030. Maybe. Can anyone conceptualize that? Because, hey, I thought it was going to 1 million by the end of this decade too, but we've seen enough examples now. You just got to divide them by 5. You're like, okay, what's your moon boy target? Okay, we're not going anywhere near that. Every single time. Okay. Now, this is important to know. $100 million buying Bitcoin, it's only going to move you 1%. That's the kicker. $100 million. And the Bitcoin miners are dumping, and we're just not early anymore. It is what it is, okay? But think about just $5 million in smaller communities. This is the important part to think about. If you are in a community that can add a lot of people, and what I mean by add a lot of people, well, Bitcoin has 200 million people in the network, okay? There are other communities out there. For example, I know the numbers. ChainLink's got about 650,000. So ChainLink has 650K, something like that. HEX only has about 150K. You see, these numbers are tiny, man, tiny. You just got to think in the future, can they grow to 2 million people? That's all you got to think of. Can they just add 1 or 2 million people? Now, you don't know. You try to observe the number of people in the network and think, hey, are they still alive? Are they making noise? Are they trying to adapt? That's all you can do, man. You never really know the truth. But how hard is it for 200 million people to be added to the Bitcoin network? That is something that we might require only in a world of when they actually print money and they're actually adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet again. That's a long ask. Remember, we're in the then they fight you phase. So that's why it's important to think about this liquidity, because if they're fighting us right now, we haven't won. After fighting is winning, but we haven't beaten them yet. All right? So that's why it's important to know insiders like BlackRock, they're here to dump the Bitcoin on the ETF victims. Remember, they're here to fight us, okay? So important to think about this liquidity event and what they're trying to do and how it all comes apart. Because yes, even though we can go back and look at these charts, we're praying these things don't collapse forever. At the end of the day, you can't be thinking about this short term. We always got to be thinking about, okay, 2024 and then 2025. Those are the people who make it. The people who worried about the next 30, 60, 90 days. Unfortunately, the market is like so volatile constantly. You taking your losses and making these little edges here and there, you do get outperformed over the long term. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. I guess we'll just see. Like, subscribe, bell button on. Catch you in the next one.